Hello, welcome back to In Depth. This is going to be a guide for the category Skull Protector for the levels Arbiter and Oracle. Arbiter is going to be the first level where we have to worry about Skull Carryover a little bit. It doesn't matter too much since that when you exit out of Arbiter going into Oracle, even if you get a full reset, you'll still have the weapons that you need for Oracle. But I'll still go over how Skull Carryover works here. I'm going to be showing the formula on screen. So it's going to be from exiting Arbiter going into Oracle. Your primary needs to be a carry-overable weapon, which is going to be the sword, and your secondary can be either carry-overable or uncarry-overable. So when you go into Oracle, your primary will be the secondary of Oracle that you would spawn with, which would be a plasma rifle, and your secondary is going to be the primary of Arbiter, which in this case is going to be the sword. If by the off chance you swap your weapons in a random order and you happen to have an uncarry-overable weapon in your primary, it'll be a full reset. But again, it doesn't matter too much since the weapons that you get on a full reset for Oracle will still allow you to progress the category properly. I'll be starting from the part where we get the skull, but just so you know the order throughout Arbiter when you're swapping weapons. To start off with, in beginning of the level, your primary is going to be your sword, and your secondary is going to be a plasma rifle. So when you're going through the level, you'll swap out the plasma rifle with a beam rifle. Your beam rifle will be swapped into a needler, and then your needler will be swapped into a carbine. And optionally later, if you want to, you can use a plasma rifle to do the skull smuggle later on. It doesn't really matter too much, but if you find it helpful, you can optionally bring a plasma rifle. But the one thing to know is to not bring a needler whatsoever. So swapping out where you normally swap out a carbine in the hallways is ideal. Alright, so going to the skull, we're going to be going down to it, obviously, and you can option to do some slinky flips. I don't know if these are actually faster or not, but I like to do them. We're going to want to face our Banshee for the skull smuggle, kind of like facing away from the grunts here. We're going to get our skull, and then we're going to want to set up our skull smuggle here. It doesn't really matter how you what weapon you swap into with, since the primary weapon, our sword, is going to be the only weapon that we're going to take going into Oracle. You're going to want to do your skull smuggle. If you happen to run out of grenades, you can use the grunts to get some. But after the skull smuggle, you're going to want to just, go back over here. Unfortunately, there's no way to slinky flip upwards, because I think it would be something like this. That's slower than just going up, so we're just gonna want us to go up here. But if it helps, if you choose to bring a plasma rifle here, you can do that as well. It does kind of help a little bit, like doing that. Kind of whatever floats your boat. But remember to always throw the grenade away from you. We're going to want to decide, get out here, go invisible, and there's an optional slide jump you can do here, or slide, I guess, and on the slope, and then we'd end the level just like that. Pretty short level in regards to the category. The rest of the level is pretty much the same as normal legendary. It just gets different when you get into the Banshee section. We're going to be going into Oracle, which is going to be a lot more complicated. Yeah. And it's going to be the most important level. But going into Oracle, you're going to see that normally you would start off with a sword, then a plasma rifle. As you can see, I used the sword, which is the thing that got carried over. As well as my grenades were also a little low. Just be a little wary of that. You shouldn't need to get more nades, but just in case, you might have to get more nades from those grunts near the skull area if you're low here. Because doing this beginning can be a little weird if you don't have enough grenades, but you might need to just adapt. So we're going to be going into lab fight, and we want to take care of lab fight first before we take care of the skull. But during lab fight, we're going to want to, depending on where we enter, we want to break the glass if we can while doing lab fight. So when we're in that fight here, we'd want to like break the glass if like the opportunity like shows itself, you know. It can be a little hard, and if your opportunity doesn't come up, that's okay. We can like break the glass when we go out there. It'll just be a little harder after that fight. After you kill the last flood, you're gonna want to go ahead and take care of the infection forms. And there's two ways you want to approach this jump right here, depending on where you hit the glass. You can either go on this ledge here. Ideally go invisible as well. Or you can jump up here. Both of these jumps you also want to crouch for. And sometimes you get a little unlucky, get a flood spawn up here. But you don't want to swap your sword down there, because it just loses more time, like from getting noticed from the flood, because you can get one here. But we're gonna wait out our 1 minute timer. But while we wait out our 1 minute timer, we're also gonna place our skull here. We're gonna go invisible, place it in that door. The skull can get like stuck in the door, and that's all right because it won't despawn. And even if it doesn't look like it's there, you would just like hold X because it'll be like in the little crevices here. But we're gonna go ahead and go back up here and wait out the 1 minute timer. So after the 1 minute timer is finished, we're gonna go ahead and kill our flood. Where's our other guy at? And we're gonna clear out this area normally. Don't worry about the skull. It shouldn't blow up. Pick up the skull, and we're gonna go back here. So we're gonna be going into the outside section. We're going to be doing a skull fly off of the carrier to the right side here. We're going to set it up before inside this little area. The skull shouldn't despawn whatsoever, but if you're worried about it despawning, I would wait for like the load zone here to like happen like that. But then we're going to place our skull like right here, and then we're going to back up at the very like back wall here. And then we're going to go off of this carrier here. Do a skull fly, crouch, and then we're just going to walk this area. There's a chance that you can get Heretic spawns coming up, because the ones in the back die. Not these, but I think it's if these die, that there's a chance that the ones like coming up ahead will spawn. Just drop the skull and like draw out your sword so they can like melee attack you. That shouldn't ever happen, but just in case if that does happen, just be wary of that. You're gonna see that the Heretics here are also like behind me here, so just head glitch here. Though they're pretty close to me, and it's like really not the ideal section. That's not the ideal pattern to get, unfortunately. But coming up is going to be the start of the most important trick of the run, which is going to be the Oracle Skull Smuggle. Throughout this whole series of guides that I'm doing for this category, they're more of, you know, suggestions for how to be like efficient and fast in the run, but you can pretty much do this category however you want, more or less. You know, there's some exceptions like Arbiter. You need that one to work in order to beat that level, but like overall, you can pretty much play this category however you want. However, for this level, this skull smuggle that's coming up is required for you to do, unless there's a way that's a lot easier than the one I'm going to show. This is the only way to beat this level for this category, legitimately. But this is going to be the start of the skull smuggle. So to set up the skull smuggle, we're going to need a plasma pistol, and there's going to be 3 viable areas up until the skull smuggle that where you can get one. This is going to be one of them before the pre-cable cutscene. In the next room, there's going to be 6 possible flood spawns with 4 that are going to spawn, and there's 1 in that room that has a plasma pistol. So starting from facing into the reactor room where you come from here, in the top left, there's going to be a carbine flood. Middle left, there's going to be a flood with no weapon. Bottom left, it's going to be a plasma rifle flood. Top right, there's going to be a needler flood. Middle right is going to be the plasma pistol flood that we need. And bottom right is going to be a carbine. So there's a chance that the plasma pistol spawn doesn't spawn here, but how we approach this section is in regards to that plasma pistol spawn. So when going into this room, we're gonna go invisible. And how we approach this section is we want to be looking on the right side while we go towards the center. We're going to drop the skull directly in the middle here. And as you can see, we got our plasma pistol spawn. Ideally, you want to kill everything before you get this plasma pistol. But depending on your situation, it might be better to like grab it first. You see, I can EMP the Sentinel. And if we're fast enough, we can pick up the skull here before the cutscene starts. We didn't get to, but everything stays spawned in, so it would be just right here. And then we continue the rest of the level. In regards to where the plasma pistol spawn would be, it would be over there. Getting the plasma pistol here isn't the fastest way of getting the plasma pistol, but ideally you would want to play it safe. But if you want to play it risky, there's another chance for a plasma pistol spawn coming up. So we're going to do a grenade jump up here. You go invisible. And in the next area after the elevator launch, facing the direction of the button, there's going to be 6 possible spawns again for Flood. They're all guaranteed, but they can fall off. But facing the button, on the left cable bottom, there's going to be a carbine Flood. Left cable top, there's going to be a needler. The right cable top, there's going to be a carbine. Right cable bottom is going to be a plasma rifle. The back cable left side is going to be the plasma pistol spawn, and the back cable right is going to be your carbine spawn. So they can fall off. I'm not sure if there's an extra plasma pistol spawn that spawns in from like the pit below, but ideally you wouldn't want to rely on that. You want to search for the plasma pistol spawn when going up, so you're going to face like backwards. And he's that one right there. So do locate him. If you could pick his plasma pistol up first, ideally. Get it? When slashing these cables, you're gonna want to do 2 sword slashes and then melee the cable afterwards. Because if you don't do that, and you leave the skull on the ground, there's gonna be a chance that this thing will just fly. Because not because of the cable, even though like the cable flinging it, even though it can like physically fling it off, but the platform here is gonna like shift a little bit, and that's what's actually gonna cause the skull to fly off. In this case, it didn't fall off, but if you want to be like really safe, you can melee the cable to make sure it doesn't fall off like that. So 1, 2, take rid of this guy, and then you can do the rest with the skull by meleeing the cable. And ideally, if you need to drop the skull, you're gonna want to wait for the cable animation to like go all the way up before you drop it, because same reason, the platform shifting and it might cause the skull to fly out of bounds. So for this last cable, this is going to be another part of the Skull Smuggle setup. The gravity that we're going to want to get going down the elevator shaft is going to be a little bit specific. You can do this by getting the normal gravity. The gravity going down is like 12 seconds after the last cable hit. Well, at least that's how I do it. We're going to want the gravity to be fairly low. We're going to be throwing the skull into the area that we're going to do the Skull Smuggle in, and ideally you want it to like float in there. But you also don't want the gravity to be really low. For one, it's going to be really slow to get down to the Skull Smuggle area, but it will make like throwing the skull in a lot harder. So I'm gonna do it like this: 1, 2, and then 18. So we're gonna go in at 30. Also do add the audio cue. And we're gonna crouch down, going here. So If by the off chance you do not have a plasma pistol at this point, there's going to be one more opportunity for you to get one. And it's going to be from this door facing the button. There's going to be 2 flood coming out, and one of them has a chance to have a plasma pistol. I don't know the specific chances of it happening, but in order to like if you don't get it, you can re-roll your chance by re-rolling your checkpoint, because you get one automatically when you're going down here. And to do that, you can just press random buttons. Let's see what I get here. There's gonna be a Heretic and then a 2 flood coming out here. As you can see, I got plasma pistol spawn, so that would have been really lucky. So I'm meleeing here. We gotta get here. Carbine. Carbine. So you can see it's gonna be different like every time, depending on what you do. Ideally, you want to bring your skull here too, if you can. Carbine needler. But I think, yeah, if I don't do anything. Is that a plasma pistol? No, it's a plasma rifle. Yeah, I don't know what it did to get it, but you would get it here and then drop down below here. So here's where we got the plasma pistol for. We're going to be doing a PP skull drop. Again, I don't know what to call this trick. We're going to overcharge our plasma pistol and pick up the skull. That's going to put us into a 1-weapon state with just a sword. And we can automatically pick up the skull like that. The reason why we're doing this is so that during the skull smuggle section, we can automatically pick up the skull. But that also means when you're going to the skull smuggle section, we're going to want to avoid picking up other weapons, because this is the only way for us to get into a 1-weapon state. But we're going to go ahead and drop down. So once we're in this area here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show the trigger volume. So there's going to be a trigger volume here. I believe it's this box right here that will spawn in the sword elites coming up. We're going to want to use those sword elites to keep the door open for us so we can throw the skull in. And this is why it's ideal to have our gravity fairly low, not super low. But we're going to also want to delay this trigger. And in order to do that, we're going to jump up here. This is ideally how it should look like. You shouldn't be going like super high, and you shouldn't be not making this jump. And we're gonna be like doing parkour to the beams up here. So you can see that we're pretty much above the trigger volume for the sword elites to come out. But yeah, once we're up here, we're gonna go ahead and drop down, and we're gonna crouch, because these sword elites are spawned pretty quickly. As well, we're gonna go invisible, and when they have the door open, we're gonna throw the skull in like that. And make sure to not go too far in, because the trigger volume to end the cutscene is like right here on the edge of the door. But as you can see, that my skull did go in. If your skull doesn't go all the way in, if the door's still open, you can throw a grenade to push it more in. But if it doesn't go all the way in, or if you pick up a weapon, you're gonna have to restart checkpoint, because in order for the skull smuggle to work, you need to be in a 1-weapon state, and you need to skull all the way in there. When you're throwing grenades as well, make sure you would probably have to restart checkpoint if you run out of grenades, because we're gonna need a grenade for the skull smuggle to work in the first place. So after the skull is in the room, we're gonna want to go ahead and activate the cutscene. And we're going to automatically get a checkpoint here. But there's another checkpoint that we can get just before the actual skull smuggle. Ideally, we're going to want to try to push that checkpoint as far into the room where we do it as we can, because that will shorten on attempts when we actually attempt to do the skull smuggle. Where we do the skull smuggle is going to be over here. And how we delay the checkpoint is really important. You're going to hear Halfjaw is talking right now. And as soon as his dialogue is finished, and also I think assuming that the Banshee that's next to us doesn't shoot us, we'll get a checkpoint after he's done talking. So you see I got a checkpoint. So we're going to want to try to be in this room as quickly as we can. And in order to go into this room, we're going to need our wings fully detached. The Heretic that was shooting us does help us take off our wings, so I can already go in here just like that. But ideally, when we get our checkpoint, we would have like launched the skull up, and it would be in this position. And ideally, we would want to be in this position before we get our checkpoint. So we want to try to do this as fast as possible. So we want to try to break up our wings by using the Banshee bumps here. And then we're going to use the Banshee bomb to put the skull up. As you can see, you're going to try to not shoot when Halfjaw is talking, because that might prevent you from getting a checkpoint here. But the closer that you are in this room, the better, because this is going to be the hardest trick of the run. The reason why this is going to be hard is because there's going to be a trigger here that's going to be constantly checking. It's going to be, it's one of these, I don't remember which one it is, like ever so often. So when you get out of the Banshee, there's just the chance they just will die instantly. That, I think, that one in particular gave us enough time, but that was enough time. But there can be just a certain interval where you're at, where when you're doing the skull smuggle, you will just die instantly when you get out. So if you continuously die trying to set up the skull smuggle, try to delay it, because you'll constantly be dying to the interval that you're in when doing the skull smuggle. But in order to position yourself correctly, you're gonna want to like face your Banshee where your feet are. And there's going to be a chance that if you don't die but get back into the Banshee, it's going to happen a lot. The skull will go in front of you. So when you want to do another attempt, you're going to face backwards. And then if you fail it, you're going to face backwards again. Fail it, face backwards again until you get it. I'm going to go ahead and put my input display, because the inputs for the skull smuggle in this section is very, very unique. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to exit the Banshee by pressing X, or exit vehicle on keyboard. And then we're going to want to wait for the reticle to disappear, the Banshee reticle. And then we're going to do the following inputs. It's going to be left trigger, left trigger. The first left trigger is going to be to drop the skull, because you're going to automatically pick it up. And the second one is going to be to throw a grenade, so you can get into that, that weird no weapon state, so you can bring the skull into the Banshee. And then the X is to get into the Banshee. And then we're going to press X to get into the Banshee. Just set myself up properly. You can see I died immediately, which is awesome. You can see I got it immediately, which that would be ideal. There's a chance that you will like not throw. It would throw, like, it showed the grenade animation, and you won't throw the grenade at all, like in this case. Or sometimes you will throw the grenade. But as you can see, that time I failed it, so we're going to turn backwards. And that time I didn't. This will require a lot of practice. This is definitely the hardest one to do. Once you got it, I like to switch back to the mouse and keyboard, because we're going to slinky flip out of here. The trick is really hard, so just getting it alone in a run, setting it up alone is hard. Doing it is hard, so don't be too discouraged if like it takes a long time to do it. My first one probably took like 10 minutes to do it in my first run, so just do know it is a really hard trick. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and just get out of here. You can optionally slinky flip out of here if you can. But as you can see, we got the skull here. In this hallway section, there's not too many fast strats. We're just going to walk it off, which is kind of nice to do after, you know, that last trick, because that last trick is really, really hard. There's two spots in particular. If you have like 2 grenades, you're going to want to use them here. But we're just going to walk it. One of the areas is here. This one's less viable. If you like 1 grenade, I wouldn't do this. Or it's not less viable, it's more of doesn't save you as much time as the other one. But the other one is also RNG. But throughout this area, you can also do some melee cancels, skull cancels. Off this grunt is kind of the most ideal spot. And there's a carry here that you can do it off, but I didn't get it. There's going to be a potential spawn here. I do have a checkpoint for this, so if I don't get it. There's going to be a carrier onto the right side next to this fusion coil. You're going to want to make them drop and throw a grenade at them, and then you're going to use it to like boost over. But it's RNG. If you don't get it, you don't get it. See, I didn't get it here. Okay, that's as good as it's going to get. I think you can get a lot more distance out of that, but, you know, can't really rely on it. It's RNG. Anyway, no melee cancel. Melee cancels are kind of hard to get in this area because spawns are RNG. So the Heretic fight isn't all too different from the normal Heretic fight. In regards to Regret fight as well, with this one, we're going to want to place the skull directly in the middle because depending on where we end the fight at, that'll be the average distance away from where we are when we do end the fight, so that when the fight ends, we would have enough time to get the skull. And specifically for this fight, the cutscene does end quite quickly, so we want to be in the middle at the very end of the fight if we can. But at the very end of this, at the very start of this fight, we're gonna put the skull in the middle. We're gonna go invisible, and then we're gonna want to go ahead and kill the Heretic, or get one hit off the Heretic, and we're gonna want to, like, again, try to place it in the middle. If you somehow got a carbine earlier, that's good. But more than likely, you're going to have no carbine whatsoever to do the sword flies to the Heretic. So we're going to get a carbine from over here. Trying to get this first hit off is going to be a little tough. Getting the carbine doesn't give you enough time. As you can see, my sword flies are a little rusty as well. But if this happens, there is a chance that you're gonna get Oracle dialogue, and that just might happen in my case here. Why do I suck my sword flies, man?
But where are the weapons, Arbiter? What was the result?
This second hit is not the biggest deal in the world. But for this last hit, there's a thing that we... Okay, yeah, you see, I got the Oracle dialogue. But there's a thing we do it for fun in Legendary Speedrun, where we put the Heretic leader, like, onto the ground. But this time, it's not going to be for fun. This is actually ideal. We want to try to place him as close to the skull as we can. So we're gonna kill him, and then we're just gonna end the level just like that. But I feel like cutscene was a little long. Like, it took a little long after the Heretic died there, but I feel like it's a lot shorter than that, but still short. So that's Arbiter and Oracle. As you can see, Oracle is quite the most complicated mission, and I think it's ideally the one you want to learn first. It is the most important level that you want to focus on, because if you can't get Oracle down, you're not going to be able to do this category legitimately. Next up, we're going to be going over Delta Halo and Regret, and Skull Carryover is going to actually matter a lot in that one. But anyway, hope you enjoyed. I know I sounded kind of a little sleep deprived, but that's because I streamed 12 hours of Blinks yesterday for making this video. Fun fact. Cool. All right. I will see you in the next one. Goodbye. Into your funny fart sound effect.